Good morning, beauties. I hope that you have had a great morning so far. My morning has been a morning full of self-care. I woke up from some great sleep last night. I'll be sharing more about my ritual for amazing sleep. I woke up this morning, and as it happens every single morning, there were 1,000 things wanting to distract me from the one thing, which is caring for myself. There were demands all over the place. As you guys know, my plate is full, just like most women. I wake up and there are lots of demands. And as it happens, it is that daily choice to say, I realize that nothing's going to fall into place the way that it should if I am self-abandoning, if I am burning myself out, if I am going into the addict. So what I always teach you guys is that we humans have very important daily needs: emotional needs, spiritual needs, physical needs, needs for care, needs for affection, needs for nutrition. And there is a portion of those needs that we need to meet for ourselves as women to be radiant women, to honor our femininity, and to really give us the energy and support we need to have a fulfilling life. So because our subconscious is infinitely intelligent, if we self-abandon, our subconscious will create coping mechanisms to try and get our needs met so that we survive. Codependence is one of them. So codependence is something that our subconscious created as a coping mechanism that created based on how bonding was modeled to us, how we actually created bonding with our parents, and just how dynamics were modeled to us. And it's also a way in which our subconscious attempts to get our needs met by manipulating and forcing and burning out and self-abandoning in order to hook other people into a trauma bond and an unhealthy relationship so that both people can lose themselves in each other and eventually drain the relationship until there's nothing left but two empty addicts. So that probably seems like a really intense thing to say, but I actually think it's kind of brilliant because I have so much respect for our adaptation mechanisms and so much respect for the infinite intelligence that governs us, because that's what it is. It's an infinite intelligence that's governing life so that life may continue. And so what happens when the radiant woman is not caring for herself is that the shadow creates something else to try and get our needs met. And that part of us is called the addict. So the addict comes up and she's a love addict. She's pining, she's obsessing, she's thinking that making that man her whole world, luring him in with codependence to turn him into her ultimate caretaker, her drug, right? And that addict begins to spread throughout our whole lives and begins to have its destructive force over our lives, because it doesn't come from God. It's not the way that our divine source intended for us to have our needs met, but it's a coping mechanism. And so we have respect and we have compassion for it as we learn to bring the addict back home, integrate her, love her, and return her to the radiant woman. So I'm thinking particularly of a client today. So she asked a very interesting question, and I've followed this client's track record for 2 years now. So she asked the question. She had a toothache, and she asked, why is it that I had the toothache, and instead of going to the dentist, I kept postponing and postponing and postponing? Why is it that when it comes to these things, I postpone them, and then my man, because she came to us single and has met a wonderful man and is now recently moved in with him, and she has a beautiful daughter, and she's a highly capable, highly intelligent woman, and just beautiful all around. Like I love this client. I love this woman. So the interesting thing is that she says that her man said to her, you know, why is it that you spend so much time on social media, and why is it that you spend so much time scrolling and so much time distracting? But when it comes to caring for your medical needs, you postpone them. So I want to talk about this because I want to talk about, she asks a good question, and I'm going to take this opportunity to answer this question for her and give her a breakthrough should she resonate with it. And I think she will. So here's the thing. I want you all to imagine or to think of the iPhone, right? Something such a part of so many of our lives now. So what happens when the iPhone is on very, very, very low battery? Can we take photos on the iPhone? Speaking from personal experience. When your iPhone or your phone is on extremely low battery, it doesn't let you perform normal functions because it's trying to save energy. So this particular client has a pattern of numbing her pain. So self-care was not modeled to her. So she didn't have a mother modeling self-care. She was very much supported or celebrated when her masculine energy, her performing, her achieving, when she was strong, when she was breaking through, that's what was celebrated. But she didn't have a strong feminine self-care presence in her life. So she didn't learn to integrate this. She didn't learn to model after it. And what ends up happening is that because she doesn't have a way to honor her heart and her emotions, she's caught in between the world of high performance and getting validation through proving through her masculine energy. And then the world of the addict, where the addict is getting needs met for soothing, for distraction, for stimulation, because she's not processing emotions on a regular basis and because she's not caring for herself. So what ends up happening is that she will not build her energy, her life force, feminine energy. Let's say she'll start skipping out on nutritious meals because she's so crushed at work. And she wasn't taught the habit as a young woman to nourish herself. And so here she is, she's coming home from work, she's been pushing all day, and she's coming home and has a ton of things. She has, house cleaning, her daughter needs her. She has all these things clamoring for her attention. And so she pushes more. And then the way to check out, because her phone battery is so low, she needs to check out. She needs spaces to check out and stimulate because she's not rebuilding her energy. And so she goes to scrolling, she goes to numbing, she goes to watching TV series. That's the addict, right? That's the addict that has come in. And the thing about it is that the more we are in that masculine pushing energy and then coming home and stepping into that numbing addict, the lower our battery gets, and it becomes a cycle. The lower our battery gets, until we don't have energy to take ourselves to the dentist. Now, the thing is, and of course, this will show up in different ways with different women. Some women in particular really, really dread medical appointments. They're very afraid of them. They have perhaps some trauma around it. And so the self-abandonment is going to happen in places where we already have a sense of weakness or a sense of not wanting to face up to the consequences of our self-abandonment, or a fear of bad news, or a fear of what might happen. So this is just one way. This might show up in many different ways for many different women. So this beautiful client is burning herself out, and then she starts in her habit of the addict, which is self-soothing and numbing, and her energy gets lower and it gets lower. And when our energy starts to get really low, our capacity to handle our difficult emotions lessens more and more and more, and the codependence, which is the intelligent coping mechanism, rises to try and, through the addict, force a man to love us, manipulate a man, take things really personally. We begin judging more because we perceive threats a lot more, and our judge is a filter for threats. and a filter for keeping us in order and keeping us in line. I'll be speaking more about the judge that we have internally. And so her energy is going down. Her self-love is going down because she isn't receiving love. She isn't receiving affection. She's not receiving nutrition. Her body's not receiving support. Her body's not resting and regenerating. She's only being valued for that masculine achievement. So her soul is feeling like it doesn't have what it needs. And down, the abuse, the self-abuse, the being beaten down, having to carry so much, having so much weight overloading our shoulders. And it fills my heart because I've been there myself. And it just is so painful to be in that place where, I constantly tell you ladies that your feminine energy is for yourself first and foremost. When you honor your feminine, you heal. And then the outcome is that you attract devotional love. And so here's this beautiful client. She's never had these things modeled to her. She's being validated by being the strong superwoman. Didn't get much celebration for just being a beautiful little girl in her heart. She, self-care is going to feel non-stimulating and is going to feel like more work. And then because the addict has come up and says, the addict is essentially saying, listen, you need to relax, you need to distract, you need to de-stress, and you're not doing it the healthy way. So let me come up and let's go watch this show. Let's go numb out. Let's go do all this other stuff. But the addict is always a double-edged sword. It's a part of us that's really trying to help us. But it always bankrupts our energy and destroys our life. And that's the catch-22 because it is a shadow coping mechanism. And so the addict is like, here, let me put these things in front of you. Let's solve this need that's not getting met because you're not parenting yourself. So I need to be a shadow parent and come up and give you all this stuff so that you can finally find an escape. You can, when we're watching TV series, it's a place where we might feel very entertained, where we might explore and dream, where we might feel, in a sense, free of responsibilities. So if you think about it, this addict that's coming up for this client is trying to find spaces in her life where she is freed of responsibility. But it comes with a very steep price because her energy gets more bankrupted. Her brain goes on stimulation addict mode. So when we are highly stimulated, we're on a high, and we don't want to bring that presence to ourselves because it's like we're a honing beacon for stimulation. We don't want to bring that energy back to ourselves. And so what ends up happening is that she is caught in this cycle. And then she can't be present with herself, which means she can't be present with her daughter, and something's going to start giving. The number one thing that's going to give is her emotional well-being is going to crash. Because when we are only self-soothing through the addict, my goodness, it wreaks havoc on our brain chemistry. It wreaks havoc, depression, anxiety, irritability, need for emotional eating to soothe that addict. It just starts going, and starts wreaking havoc. Then she can't be as present and connected to her daughter because she's not connected to herself. And then so the number one place that starts suffering is her emotional well-being. Her physical system, her hormones, her adrenal system, her nervous system begin crashing and on a straight train to burnout. And things just begin to give until eventually something crashes. If this is left unchecked, it will always bring receipts to the relationship with a man because she is not in her radiance. This client knows how to weave in and out of it, and now it's about time for her to ground into a greater breakthrough and consistency in it. And because our emotional well-being is beginning to crumble on the inside, because there's no infrastructure supporting it, we begin to become more codependent. We begin to lean forward. We begin to try to control our man. We begin to, the masculine judging comes in because we're taking everything personally because it's like a crab without a shell. We are like a raw nerve a raw wound, because our defenses, our immune system, our emotional immune system, our defenses, instead of having the energy they need to protect us and imbue us with life force, with chi, with beautiful radiant energy, are embattled and weakened. And that is the cycle. And so the number one thing to do is to begin rebuilding the life force. And so when I notice, so I'm gonna speak to this client as if I'm speaking in her voice. So if I was her, this is how I would approach it. When I notice that I want to distract and that I don't want to be present, this usually means that my energy is very, very low, and my inner addict is seeking to give me an escape so I can rebalance. When I'm seeking to distract, it usually means that I have fears and anxieties and grief that I have to share with someone or speak about or freely express or write down and give my soul an opportunity to feel its own feelings. Emotions are messages from our soul, and if they're not heard, over time they pile up and become a cloud of confusion and a lack of clarity, and it edges us out of our heart more and more and more. We're never essentially out of our heart, we're just not present with our heart. And so when I feel like binging on something, when I feel like binging on videos, when I feel like abandoning, and when I'm not capable of being present, I need to rebuild my energy. I need to get support. I need to go to bed on time. I need to make that difficult decision of shutting that computer off early. I need to make sure next day I'm getting enough calories, meaning I'm getting enough nutrition, because it's not just about not eating the things that create inflammation and toxicity, but it's also about eating enough of the good stuff, which we need to repair and regenerate our life force. And then the next day you have a little bit more energy, and you'll notice your well-being, your emotional capacity starts to get better and better and better as you do both the inner work of connecting with yourself emotionally, and you're giving your body the ability to regenerate. And then everything, what do I always say? Everything reorganizes around you. Everything falls to place around you when you give yourself that self-care. And so waking up this morning, I had 1,000 things that were telling me were more important than my well-being, were more important than my needs, were more urgent than my needs. And I said, no. I cuddled with my loved ones, my fur babies and my man. I went out for a beautiful walk. I came back and I meal prepped for 1 hour and 15 minutes so that I eat 5 to 6 medium to small meals a day. I got all my vitamins out. I did, very, very simple meals. And I connected with my feelings. I connected with my heart. I let myself have some space to breathe. I felt into my feelings. What am I feeling today? What am I needing today? Coming close to myself. And I feel ready for my day. I can feel life force coursing through my body. I can feel it because I've paid a lot of attention to my body. I've come very close in a loving way. I can feel energy flowing. I've got amazing body temperature. I feel like I'm humming right along. I have energy and stamina. My mind is super clear, and I feel emotionally good, and I feel happy. There's a tinge of happiness because my body feels supported, and because I feel supported, it's like a happy baby. The baby's happy. The little chub is happy. So that is the importance of making sure that no matter how busy we are, we set aside time every day so that we can then be our best for our family, we can be our best for our children, and we can really sustain love for the long haul. Sending you all so much love. Bye-bye.